Morning, Renee. How are you doing today? How is life?
Hello, Maya. I am
How is
doing great.
everything?
Everything's good. Florida has a beautiful day, a little bit of a cold front, believe it or not, still. But we have a big rocket launch today, and hopefully the weather will allow that to occur. It's one of the really big rockets, so I expect it'll be very loud and my house will shake very much. But it's nice living in the Space Coast because there's a lot of innovation that happens here, and it's
Okay.
exciting. So, how about you?
For me, we are getting ready for Easter. Easter
Ah, yes, this
is a
weekend.
big topic for in
Mhm.
Poland. So, um, you know, last weekend on Sunday we had the Palm Sunday. I don't know if
Yep.
you celebrate
Yep.
Palm Sunday. So my daughters created those little palm kind of a
Crosses.
little
Hmm.
palms, and they basically and they went to the church with that. So I couldn't
Hmm.
go to the church because I'm still not mobile. I have to stay
Hmm.
at home and I have to take care of myself. But they went there and we are expecting family to come and join us for the Easter. It's a brunch. It's the brunch
Hmm.
that we are going to have. And obviously, I know this is a pretty unique for Poland. Monday is a day which is called Śmigus Dyngus, which is basically a tradition where you spray water on other people. So you need to
Ah,
wake up very, very, very early. And if you spray water on others, then you bring luck to them. Okay, and
it's nice.
uh, yes, that was so. So I know that my daughters are already trying to to set up something like watches and everything to make sure that they are the first ones to
Spray
cause
you.
troubles, to spray everybody else. Yeah. So a lot of fun, and we are getting ready for the Easter. Um, and I'm also ready. I don't know if I told you about it. Maybe this is a new announcement that I've been asked to speak at the event in Sonoma. I've heard
Excellent.
Sonoma is
When is the
nice.
date? Sonoma is beautiful. What's the date?
It's going to be middle of May, so it's 15th and 16th of May. It's
Uh-huh.
the B2SMB Institute. Is going to hold
Mm.
an event where uh, several high-ranking executives from several companies that sell to SMB, that are
Mhm.
trying to sell to the small and medium businesses to support the transformation, digital transformation, or support them financially, are going to meet and talk about ideas, challenges, opportunities. Very interesting one. I'll probably talk about this more and more because there's a lot of preparation I need to do because I'm going to be having a keynote on day one, which is a
Wow. Kick it off.
pretty
I love
amazing,
it.
pretty amazing
Hmm.
exercise. I'm
Yeah.
extremely excited about it, and I cannot wait. So you're invited, Rene, and for all
Well,
those of you
thank you.
guys, yeah, of course, you are invited. You need to
Mm,
be there with me,
I love that.
um,
Maybe we could
and
do a LinkedIn Live from there.
oh, we will do a LinkedIn Live from there. I'm pretty sure. Of course,
All
we
right.
should do.
That would be so great.
I'm not sure if they would allow me to stream the stage, but other than that,
Mm,
we should
mhm.
probably see whether we can do anything. We have a couple of people on live, in the audience. I
Say
don't know
hello
if
to us. Don't be
anybody
shy.
brave enough to say hello. If Mradu would be in the audience, he would say hello.
You would
If
always
Jose
say hello.
Elias would be in the audience, he would say hello. I'm
Always.
pretty sure. Yes.
Kenya and Alan are
Kenya
good at
would
saying.
say so.
Yeah.
I hope if they are not watching us now, they will be watching the replay later on.
I'm sure. I am sure they will.
Okay, today, what did we prepare for today?
Today is very exciting. Um I love momentum, and this law is really about momentum and why momentum is an important concept. Um, and sometimes, companies continue to succeed simply on their momentum, or leaders continue to succeed So, yes, I'm excited to talk about the law of momentum, the law of big Mo, MO, like, momentum.
The law of big
That's
mo. I prepare the I prepare the slide to summarize that. You might want to describe it, Rene, and then we'll talk about examples, because I do agree with you. Momentum is super important, and once you create the momentum, and this is typically, or maybe you describe the law first, and I'll talk about my ideas. Okay.
well, and we can think about momentum in terms of technology, right? This is always an example that a lot of our viewers are technology people, right? They sell in technology, or they're in technology, and in technology we have this concept of an early adopter, kind of like middle of the road people that adopt once the early adopters have already proven that it's okay, and then we have the laggards, or the late adopters, right? So the law of momentum is definitely it's basically that, right? You have a tipping point. You have your early adopters of anything, and I have an example that's non-technology related that we'll cover in a little bit. But the law of momentum really talks about, you start trying something, or you introduce a product, or you introduce a concept, and some people early on are going to grab onto the concept, and they're going to help you amplify it. And the more you have success in these early adopters, and as you start reaching that pivot point, right, where you get now, you're past um, just early adopters, and you go into more of a saturation point where the market has accepted your product or your technology and adopted it. Then you go into that unstoppable wave. The iPhone is a great example. It had a very short early adopter, and then it just boom. And even to this day, you see that they benefit from momentum quite a bit. And they were able to brilliantly do that also by creating an integration to their OS environment, or their operating environment. So when they created and got momentum, it also gave momentum to all those app developers and the app marketplace. And then, so it had a ripple effect of momentum in other industries, the Gorilla Glass industry. So you really can think about the law of momentum as not just what it does for you and your product or your solution, but then what it does to the ecosystem. So that's how I would explain that.
I think, in my opinion, momentum is extremely important in driving the success, because once you establish the momentum, and you're absolutely right that if you start early and you set the clear goals, and then you start celebrating the small wins, and you get
Mhm.
some people, the early adopters behind you, then you will see that the kind of a snowball effect, right? And
Mhm.
suddenly everything starts moving extremely, extremely fast.
Mhm.
Uh, that will help you. That will help you a lot the moment you start running into challenges, because once you establish a momentum, and then some challenges will come, this effect of a positive energy, of this kind of a drive, and everybody being on board, will help you to get through the difficult moments in your cycle. Okay, I mean, not
Mhm.
everybody can maintain 100% energy all the time. Not every
Mhm.
idea has, a lot of ideas are not flawless, so obviously you will run into some challenges. uh, Once you have the momentum, running over those challenges, overcoming those challenges is going to be much, much easier. And the perfect example, and I really like it, like to look at, to see that from in my past experience. I have changed several times in my career the field of, kind of the focus
Mhm.
area, because I always
Mhm.
wanted to have some fun. So I've been in the
Mhm.
business, I'm in the pricing world, business development, marketing, in the channels, obviously. And it was very interesting to see, once I left the organization, if the momentum was well established, you could see the results and the effect still running positively for a certain period of time, allowing whoever took over from me to kind of establish himself and or herself, and get, learn a little bit what needs to be done, and then regain the momentum again, and build on
Mm-hmm.
this, and move forward. So it's super important for driving stuff forward, but also for your legacy in the organization. If you can establish a good momentum, then you are going to be well remembered as well, which is good for your networking and for your future career for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Uh, any recommendations how to establish drive and move forward with the momentum, Rena? Rena, anything that you have?
My favorite one is consistency, right? Consistency. If you truly believe in your product, if you truly believe in what you're offering and the value you're adding, you have to be patient and consistent. I think that you see it over and over again. And there's a saying in the US that says, "It took me 20 years to become an overnight success." Right. And it's because you're going to get to a point where if you're consistent, it's going to pay off and you're going to get that momentum. But if you give up too early, then you really could miss out on a great opportunity. You and I are fans of consistency as we show up to our LinkedIn lives, right? At the tea shop, right? I want to make sure that I give my customers consistency of, I open Saturdays and Sundays from these times, and customers will respond, right? And they'll really adjust, and our audience has grown, our following in LinkedIn has grown, and consistency in discipline. Well, to be consistent, you have to be disciplined, but that consistency really helps. So that would be one of the key points of advice. Clarity is also important, right? You got to be clear on what you want to accomplish, and what's your vision, right? But once you have that consistency is key to achieve momentum. What about you?
Clarity is super important, and establish a clear goals for the team is going to be one of the number one, kind of a recommendations that I will say. Once you
Mhm.
have this, last week we spoke about the $100 million concept
Yeah.
that we have put in place. We spoke about the Engage and Grow LinkedIn showcase that we have built together with Monza Sharp and Woody and the team in the very very recent past. It was very clear that we wanted to reach certain number of followers, so certain amount of dollars, and we knew
Mhm.
exactly what needs to be done. And again, celebrate the small wins. Once we achieve the
Yeah.
first 1,000 followers, once we achieve the first
Mhm.
wins from the customers, once we get the first country to adopt uh, a very
Yeah.
complex
Mhm.
idea that we have, you start celebrating those wins, and then that helps you to build on this.
Mhm.
I always said when it's a trick. So maybe it's for those of us who are listening to us in a global environment, that was a very important trick for me. But it also applies to a local, national
Mhm.
approaches as well. When you have an idea, you pitch it to a number of people within the
Mhm.
organization, to your peers, and to different parts of the organization. And at certain point in time, you will, and very quickly you will figure out who is for and who is against your idea.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
or maybe not against, who is completely convinced and who is still very skeptical. Okay,
Mhm.
and my tip for everybody watching us is just don't listen to the guys who are skeptical, because they will give you some really good information how to avoid future
Yeah.
problems.
Mhm.
Okay, but don't take their skepticism into your heart, because what
Mhm.
you want to do is you want to move forward, and you want to use um, their feedback to get better, and you want to work with people that are with you to start getting this momentum and start
Mhm.
getting the first wins and start getting the first results.
Yeah.
So just focus on the people that want to work with you. I guess that's the tip that I would like to give to everybody watching us today. Yeah.
I don't know if we have any
What else?
comments coming in. I don't know if you, I don't see any on my side, but it could be me.
I haven't seen anything
Okay.
recently. Everybody is a little bit more quiet. We
Yeah. It
we, we
is
used
spring
to have.
break in the
It's
US.
spring break.
It's spring
No,
break on the US. Yeah.
we have quite a few people in the live. It's just that I'm
Mhm.
not seeing anybody commenting at this point in time. So
Yeah.
hopefully we'll get some comments. We'll see some information flowing. So that's, you go and work with people that are interested in helping you and working with you. um, that's probably the start of the game.
Mhm.
But it's equally important as a leader to maintain the momentum, because
Mhm.
rush and the fun is gonna fade away a little bit at least. Even if there are
Yeah.
no obstacles, even if this is just, people will get a little bit tired with the
Yeah.
concept after a minute. So uh, you should be, as a leader, working on maintaining the momentum in the organization, right, Renee?
Yeah. Well, and I'll go back to consistency, right? You have to repeat the vision and you have to repeat what you hope to accomplish. And you have to celebrate your wins publicly to consistently remind people of what it can be, of what it has been, right? Because people have a short term memory, and that's really not their fault. It's because if you think of today's environment, we have more access to information and we have more information coming at us all day, multiple times a day. And it's really hard to keep the brain focused on those key things. That's why it's important, if you want to make sure you're keeping your momentum, that you're consistent at reminding people why it's good, why it's a worthy thing, right? I mean, again, look at I love Apple, so I use the example a lot. Ooh, sorry. Ooh,
Bless you.
my apologies. Thank you. It's spring in the US,
Oh, you
so
have a hay fever. Okay.
oh my God, terrible. So yes, sorry, my apologies. But yeah, it is very important to remind people of the benefits. You know, I never take for given that people remember the last conversation we had, right? I do a lot of coaching, one-on-one coaching, and I always reset. The way I start the conversation is, when last we spoke, we covered da 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 da, right? A little summary, a little reminder, and then we keep going from there. It's important. It's important that you communicate often, that you communicate consistently, and that you stay on message so that you can achieve that momentum. And once you achieve it, it's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing. And again, once you achieve it, you keep the vision, but you also need to, and this is where this listening to people that were skeptical comes as a very
Mhm.
important element. What you need to do is you need to also think about the obstacles that will come and try
Mhm.
to remove them, and be also flexible and adapt to the situation. Because when you started the journey, things were a little bit different,
Mhm.
and during your work, you should be gaining some experience and some information from the market, from the customers, from employees, from your team members, about what is not working. So keep your
Yeah.
ears open and adapt
Mhm.
to maybe some challenges. Again, keep on celebrating the wins. And I think one of the elements is keeping the energy, positive energy.
Mhm.
That was one of my favorite things. I always
Yeah.
said that I always wanted the team to have fun, not only
Yeah.
to work hard, but also to have a little bit of fun as
Mhm.
we are working. So I believe that it's super important when you are trying to maintain the momentum to also uh, keep some form of fun and team building
Mhm.
activities
Mhm.
as you go through, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Uh, you remember, Renee, either in Munich or I think in Dubai, in several locations in Las Vegas, we always wanted to have a little bit of a team sport, okay, or
Yeah.
team building exercises. Meet
Mhm.
together, go for it doesn't have to be super expensive, by the way. I know that right now the market is tough, and sometimes it's not about how expensive and how lavish it is. It's how much fun you can
Yeah.
execute from, or squeeze from the activities that you are going to put in place. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you remember my famous table games, right? Where
Oh
we
yeah.
go to dinner and I ask these questions of the table and everybody has to take a turn and respond, right? Whether it's what's their favorite vacation spot or the last book they read, right? And it's
No,
really
no,
it
hold on.
serves. Yeah.
Everybody needs to understand the table game, because it's. I think you
Okay.
need to explain it. So figure out a situation when everybody is sitting around the table at the dinner, and in a normal setting without Renee, everybody would just go into their own conversations, and the team would
Mhm.
very quickly split into several mini groups.
Yeah.
Not with Renee, okay?
Yeah.
Not with Renee. With
Right.
Renee, she would be like, "Hey, everybody, listen!
Yeah.
Everybody,
Pay
listen!
attention.
Okay, we're gonna we're gonna play a game now, and everybody takes part in the game. Nobody sits quiet. I want everybody." And that will be the famous question, like, "What is your favorite spot?"
Yes.
Right? And
Yes.
then everybody would have to name their favorite spot, and we would listen, and there were certain rules, and that would bring people together. I always admired those table games. So sorry, but
Thank you,
think
Magic.
it's important for people to know that, yeah, what it is,
Yes.
what a table game is.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. And yes, it's important because we do tend, and especially in our industry and our different corporate events, and you know, it's loud. Restaurants are loud, so people kind of just talk to the person that's next to them or in front of them. But yeah, the table games are very intentional. And, it's not like we do it all night, but we do one or two questions. And there's a few basic rules, but it's really giving space and a moment for people to share. And the reason you want to have, and those are free, right? We talked about it, they're fun and they're free, right? The two F's, fun and free.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're already there for dinner, right? And we're spending money on the dinner, but it's a way to squeeze some more meaning out of spending time together. And it's also important to be a likable leader, right? And what I say by with that is people usually buy into the leader first and then the vision. And
Hmm.
it's not that it's a popularity contest, but you want to be someone that people want to work for, right? Because they understand that they're a part of it and they're working towards something bigger than any one individual, and that they will be able to contribute to that, right? And that allows the team to gain momentum because everybody is pushing towards the same goal. It's like that those big rowboats where everybody's rowing and rowing in the same speed direction, right? And that momentum that they build is what carries that boat across the finish line to really accomplish some wonderful things that, normally by themselves people couldn't accomplish. I have
Correct.
thousands of references.
You still need to run what you need to do is, I don't know if anybody is interested in learning about the table games, because I think this is one of those tricks that most of people should be learning. So reach out to Renee if you want to learn more about the table games and the rules and how to set them up. And because I tell you, this is one of the great tricks that you can do, bringing a bigger group of people together and doing something together, as opposed to, like, everybody going and doing a little bit their own thing. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
uh, I used to have another trick, which was trying to mix and match people. I remember once we've done the trip with the organization in Poland as well.
Hmm.
We have taken people to do like 2 days on the boats,
Hmm. Hmm.
sailing boats, like a inland sailing.
Hmm.
And the interesting thing is, every boat, you could sleep on the boat, right? Or
Okay.
the idea was to sleep on the boat as well. So it was 2 3 days,
Mhm.
basically going from one location. There is a lake district in Poland, very nice, very beautiful, and you could basically sail for a couple of days, and then just stopping for lunch or for food, whatever.
Mhm.
And I remember we've done, and I had a dilemma of, because the moment there are 6 people that could be on one boat, and we had like 30 people in the organization, and there were groups, like there were pre-sales, there were product managers, there were sales guys, telesales guys, there were sales specialists, there was a finance organization, HR, etc., etc. So what I was afraid of is that we're going to have one boat that is going to be the finance boat, and then one boat that is going to be the pre-sales boat,
Marketing
and there'll
mode.
be one boat that is going to be product manager's boat, and people will not integrate because they'll be separated from
Right.
each other.
Hmm.
So I came up with this kind of oh, Michelle, come on, I
Ah,
love the idea of
excellent.
table games. So finally, somebody's talking to us.
Yes.
Michelle, thank you.
Thank you.
You should reach out. You should reach out, Michelle, to Rene for more information about the table games. So anyway, so I came up with this Evilish rule when I said to my admin. I said, look, the rule that Magic as the boss is establishing is that you cannot choose. You can only choose one person you're gonna be on the boat with. So what I want everybody is to name their partner. One, just one person. They need to kind of one partner, and then you and I, my admin and I, will sit down. I will mix and match them. Okay, so you can have a friend, but the rest of the 6 people are going to be from other organizations, other parts of the organization. And I don't think people were happy at the very beginning with that, because they had this idea that they're gonna, kind of sit on the boat together, have a drink, whatever. But I was so keen on on just mixing the organization a little bit so people get to know each other a little bit better, and that worked extremely well. Especially that we also mixed, you know, uh, women and men on the same boat. Okay, because I was a little bit afraid that if there is a only man on the boat, and obviously male population in my organization was slightly bigger than the female population, I was concerned that male only boat could be a little bit troublesome, that the guys are going to get into trouble on the water,
Okay. Okay.
and women, girls always have this calming effect. Like, diversity, right, Renee?
Yes.
For
Yes.
diversity is an important topic. So you might also want to try to do this kind of exercises when you kind of force some mixing at the table, or connect. But Renee's idea is much better, by the way. So really,
But
table game.
I love that you bring up this example, right? Because you've always had a natural inclination to fostering diversity. And it's diversity is important for a lot of reasons. And also it's important for building momentum and maintaining momentum and driving momentum, because not everyone is going to have the same passion or energy level all the time. So you really need to have people from different points of view. And if it's hard to use the word force, but sometimes if you're not intentional, I'm going to use the word intentional. If you're not intentional about building diversity, what happens is the human mind automatically is going to gravitate to the people that are like me, same
Yeah.
background, same language, same culture, likes the same sports teams. And so you have to be intentional to build a little bit more diversity into your day to day. So I would say that's what you were doing, Magic. You were being intentional in building diversity.
I love how people now appreciate that. Really, this is Renee, something that I keep on saying. All those leadership traits can be learned. It's not like I by no stretch of imagination I was an ambassador of diversity when I started my career. To be very honest, not because I didn't want to. It's just that Poland is a very homogeneous country, and there was not much of a of a diversity. In that sense, there was not much of a diversity that I experienced uh, as a as a young person. But what I love is that right now they are doing this kind of a little exercises that are helping to foster diversity. There was this one exercise in school of my daughter that comes to my mind, which I think is just it was just fantastic. My daughter really likes criminals, like the Agatha Christie stories. Yeah,
Uh-huh, uh-huh,
she really
uh-huh.
just reads them one after the other. Oh, right now,
Suspense,
she
mystery, not criminal, but yeah, yes,
mystery,
yes,
yeah. So
mystery,
she
yes.
really liked them, and she was reading a lot of them, and she was really passionate about it. And at certain point in time, the teacher said, "We're gonna do a little bit of an exercise. So everybody will be bring their favorite book, and you're gonna go and you're gonna exchange the book with somebody else in the class." So she got a book like horror stories or something, which she completely didn't like. But she had to read that. And then, so they exchanged the books with a friend. Okay. She had to read that. And then they had to go back and discuss. The other friend of my daughter had to give her a feedback on the mystery stories. Okay. And my daughter had to give her a feedback on the horror stories. And she was amazed. She was actually very, very surprised that it was not that bad as she thought. That the beginning was a little bit terrible and boring, but as she progressed through the book, it was getting more and more interesting. And I mean, she didn't switch, but she started to appreciate that there is a kind of a different dimension to the yeah uh, to what you can read and what you can be passionate about. Yeah, I like that they are
Yes,
teaching kids nowadays this kind of exercises.
I love that. Yeah, I love that because it's teaching them a different point of view, and I wish we had more of that. Because in
Absolutely.
those simple behaviors that those little seeds that we plant in the children early on, become skill sets later on in the workplace and at university and so forth, that help them see a world outside of their own particular frame of reference.
Okay, Michelle gave us one comment, and I'm really grateful for that, Michelle, because it's great to have some interaction. The other 15 people are not willing to talk to us too much, but if you want to talk, separate or offline, always, there's a little button on my profile when you can book a meeting, and we can have a chat about ideas or challenges that you see or have. I know a few people use that button already, so I always encourage people to take advantage of this. And talking about diversity, table games, there are a lot of tricks that you can learn when you want to become a better leader. Uh, Renee, Clean Canvas Consulting can offer a number of different courses, coachings, ideas that people can take with them and implement in their daily life, just to become a better leader, a better person.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Every day, right? Even if you're already a good leader, you can always be better, right?
Yes.
So make sure that you're always working to refine your skill sets. And, if you're starting out and you don't know, or you're someone that it doesn't come naturally to, for whatever reasons, right? You definitely can teach yourself some very interesting techniques to be able to make you a more approachable and a more open leader. So, yes, always.
So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
We'll disconnect now, and we'll talk to you next week as usual,
Yeah,
because we are very consistent.
that's right. Have a good Easter, everybody, for those who celebrated. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.